Hi, my name is Karen Semper, and I thought I would put a video out there on YouTube because I shared a Facebook live video about my success going drug-free. So that's no methotrexate, no, is it called sulfasalazine? And in any case, another drug as well, to get into remission from drug-free rheumatoid arthritis drugs. Um, and it got over, I think, nearly 2,000 views on my Facebook page, and it got 13 shares. So I know myself, when I was searching for a bit of wisdom, something to help me on my way, because I knew for myself that being drug free was something really important to me. So I'll share a little bit of my journey with you. So last year in 2015, it was in maybe I'd say September, this finger started pulling in like this. It was really painful. And I really didn't know what was wrong with it. And my partner said maybe it was some of the training that I'd been doing, because I'd been doing some boxing with my partner, and he said maybe I had nicked it or something like that. So I went over to LA for some meetings with some friends, and I noticed while I was over there, it wasn't, just jet lag. I felt really tired all the time. I was starting to feel really lethargic. That was in the October. And I noticed that I had a pain. So if these are just say these are your toes, that I had a pain just here. Not all the time, but I love to walk, so I couldn't really walk as much. I had some sandals on, and I felt a little bit of pain when I was walking back to our apartment in West Hollywood. So kind of thought, but let it go. Then when it got to, say, November, my fingers, they look okay now, but the knuckles, they were burning, and they were so swollen. It was unbelievable. I've never had anything like it. And also my hands, they started bending in like this. So I was literally having to force my hands straight, or put it on a desk or a table to force it out straight. So I made an appointment. This was in the December, and I went to my doctor's, and I burst into tears because I'd never experienced anything like this in my life. And obviously I'd been Googling and things like that beforehand, and it always came up with arthritis. But I thought, well, no, I need to obviously go to the doctor. And she did some bloods, and bloods came back, and vitamin D was okay, a lot of other things, but there was for inflammation that was abnormal, which she said we knew about, and she had already made me an appointment with rheumatology. So that came through for the January, I think it was January the 4th, and my partner and I, we went to my rheumatology appointment, and I told him, now by this time, my feet were really painful. I used to be an avid gym goer. I used to go to the gym like between maybe 2 to 4 times a week. Used to go for 6 o'clock in the morning, but I was waking up in the morning and my feet were so painful. My hands as well. I was struggling with them, locking the front door, even holding a cup. And I thought, where's this coming from? Went to the gym and tried to walk on the treadmill, and just found it really painful. I was on there for about 10 minutes and I had to come home. So I explained this all to rheumatology, where they did some scans where they found inflammation in my hands and in my feet. And when we had the talk with the rheumatologist, when he sat me down, I really felt like, basically, when he told me it looked like I had inflammatory arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, I really felt like I was having like a diagnosis for maybe, you know, God forbid, cancer or something. I thought, wow, is it really so serious? You know, the way what he's saying. And first of all, he said, so there's some drugs that we, you know, don't worry, there's some drugs that we can put you on. One's Methotrexate. This is the drug. And so I had a little look through the leaflet, and then I realised this was a really, you know, toxic drug, a really strong drug. And that he let me know that it could cause fetal abnormality. You would have to come and, I think, get your bloods done every week, I think he said at the time, and, you know, to check that it doesn't poison your liver, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, I've never been ill, to say, in my life, so this isn't something that I was up for. If it's something so serious where it could, you know, poison your liver, it's not great. So he said, well, you know, go away and think about it, or you could have a steroid. Now, years ago, when I was in my 20s, I'm in my 40s now, I used to be a professional dancer, and I used to have problems with my left knee, and I did have 2 steroid injections. And I remember my doctor at the time saying he wouldn't give me any more than 2 because steroid injections aren't great. They can cause a lot of damage, and it would probably, you know, it'd be best to have an operation. So I always kept that in mind about, you know, these steroid drugs. So I was doing a massage course, and one of the ladies who came to be a client of mine when I was training, she also had been diagnosed with inflammatory arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and she said that she had been on Methotrexate and it had damaged her liver. So she had come off them, and it had taken a long time for her liver to kind of go back to normal, but she was having a lot of problems, and she was really ill when she was taking this Methotrexate. So I thought, no, that is, you know, definitely not for me. So as this time went on, it must have just been like a few weeks, I had acupuncture as well, and the acupuncturist said that he felt that my gut was really cold, and that there were some problems with my digestion. Now, before all this happened, you know, last year with my finger pulling in and everything, I had shingles. I got shingles, and I took some shingles medication, and then 6 weeks after that, that's when my finger started pulling in. Now, I do coaching as well, so as a coach, I, you know, get clients to do a timeline, and I look back at my year of my diet, of my stress levels and my health, and it was the worst year. 2015 was my worst year ever. My diet was horrendous. I was eating a lot of like fried foods as well, and I know that my body doesn't agree with that, because when I was younger I used to suffer a lot with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and if I had anything fried, it would always set it off. And even I'd noticed sometimes if I'd eat melon, my tummy would start to swell. Bread, my tummy would start to swell. So, you know, if I looked over the last year, and I could feel myself like getting an anxious tummy again, and certain little things were starting to set me off. So I knew my gut wasn't in the right place, and then obviously getting shingles, your body's sign of saying that, you know, you're so overwhelmed that your body's in crisis, really. And then obviously the shingles medication, very strong medication again, it's a horse tranquilizer. So, you know, wiping the gut, and I didn't do anything to heal the gut after that. I carried on, and my diet still wasn't great. I had a lot of stress in my life. I'm a massive meditator. Vipassana meditation is my choice of meditation. Last year also, I really cut my meditation down. I just let life get on top of my shoulders. So it was at a very stressful point in my life, and then, you know, obviously my body started breaking down. So, you know, I thought, well, when the acupuncturist said this about my gut, I thought, I actually believe you. I believe that since I was in my 20s, I've had a lot of problems with my gut that were never really addressed, to be honest. You kind of just let it go, and if things aren't causing, you know, like massive problems, then you don't think that there's anything wrong with you. And then it just needs something, one trigger, and I believe that the shingles and maybe the shingles medication was the trigger to start the inflammatory arthritis. So I went back to the doctors because, rheumatology, he had said, think about, the methotrexate, and also think about having a steroid. So because I'd had a steroid before, many years ago, I thought, well, because my hands were really curved in like this, I thought there needs to be something to relax. I could not walk on my feet, and I had a lot of work coming in. I thought, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. So I thought about it, and the next day I went and I had a steroid injection, which within about 24 hours it started to take the inflammation down. I was more comfortable on my feet. I started, exercising like this, and my hands, became straight again. And, I thought, well, I can't really be having steroids all the time, but fingers crossed, hopefully this will take the inflammation down and I won't need to have another one. So, carried on with life. But I noticed while I had this steroid, my partner, he took me for a Chinese one evening. I don't eat meat, I only eat fish. And we went for this Chinese, and I had some noodles and maybe like a curry sauce. It was a Chinese buffet, and there wasn't really anything, there's some prawns that didn't really take my fancy. So I just had these noodles and the curry sauce. And I noticed within about 3-4 hours, oh my goodness, the swelling on my hands was unbelievable. The pain, all the inflammation all started to come back, and I thought, wow, whatever it is that I've eaten, even the steroid can't control this. So it made me believe more to that what you eat has really something to do with the inflammation and with the arthritis. So, I just carried on doing what I was doing, and like I said, while I had the steroid, sometimes I'd get like a little flare, and I thought, well, should this be happening while you're having a steroid? I don't know, but it was. So that was in the January when I had it. So in the March, the steroids started to wear off, and I was working in Dubrovnik, and I noticed that my fingers, especially these two fingers were the worst. The knuckles started really swelling again. Really painful, and I thought, oh no, that means, gosh, I'd have to have like a steroid every 12 weeks, which wasn't good. And then when the steroid really wore off, I was in my utmost pain. So my hands, once again, they went like this. So on a morning I'd wake up, that was the mobility that I had with my hands. That was it. I couldn't move them anymore. My feet, I couldn't walk on my feet. I'd get out of bed, and I couldn't be barefooted, so I got some flip-flops that were very soft, just to it was like I was walking on the bones of my feet to take some of the pressure. Sometimes I'd have to go on my knees, or I'd have to, just sit on my bum and move along the floor. My partner would have to help me, to get ready. In my energy, so in my house I've got 3 flights of stairs. I'd walk up 1 flight of stairs, I'll get halfway, and I was so tired. It was just like all my energy had gone. I couldn't do any cleaning. I just couldn't do much, and that's not me. When you've got so much energy, I'm known for my energy. I thought it was a massive life change. It was like I was actually living in someone else's body. It was like this body was not mine. I'd taken on somebody else's body. And during that time, I was never ever depressed, I have to say that. And I know the consultant at the time said to me that, I had to really, think about inflammatory arthritis and think about the medication, because, it can be really life-changing, and a lot of people commit suicide because of the pain. And at that time, I'd never experienced, really the pain that I didn't know I was going to experience. So I just thought, God, I didn't know that this was arthritis, and I didn't actually realise it was a crippling disease, because, yeah, I had seen an auntie of mine. She has, I think she has arthritis in her hands, and her knuckles are, you know, a little bit deformed. And then when I started obviously Googling, seeing pictures, and I thought, oh my goodness, you know, if this is how it's going to be. And I remember saying to the consultant, because he said, really need to get you on some methotrexate, because, you know, to stop bone deformity now, even though it's not showing signs that you have. And I thought, well, do you know what, I really don't want to take these tablets, and I'll take if I have to have the bone deformity, I'll take them. What did a friend of mine say? You can't be blessed with good skin and not have anything else wrong with you. So I just thought, oh gosh, well, if I have to have that, I'll have it. But I was determined not to take the tablets. Now, if you have chosen to take those tablets, then, you know, hands up. Fair enough. You have to do what is best for you. But I really felt that this wasn't best for me, and I really wanted to give a try of trying to heal my gut. So I noticed something else, that when I stopped eating bread and started eating what's it called, like pickled cabbage, but it wasn't pickled in vinegar. It was with just water and sauerkraut. That's it. When I started having sauerkraut, within 2 days, it's no word of a lie, so my hands, which on a morning would just be like this, I could make a fist again. And I could not believe it. I thought, that's with giving up bread. So there's obviously something, you know, to do with that. And maybe that time when I had the Chinese, maybe it was the noodles, you know, that was causing the inflammation to flare up again really, really badly. So I thought, there really is something in this. So when I went back to see the consultant, and I told him, you know, he tried to get me back on the medication, and I said, no, listen, you have to give me a try. I'm trying turmeric, you know, I'm juicing every day. And he laughed at me. He said, turmeric, you're basically having a curry every day. And he just laughed at me. And then in the UK, we have this program which is called Trust Me, I'm a Doctor. And it was proven on there that turmeric can help inflammation, and has changed the pattern of cancer, and, you know, everything. So I thought, well, I'm going to stick with my turmeric. Now, during this period of time, so this was maybe the May when I stopped having bread, but I still was a bit of a loose end, because some days, you know, my hands would flare up, then they'd be down. My feet were the worst, actually, you know, like not being able to walk, my energy levels down. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and see a nutritionalist. I want some bloods doing, because everybody that I'd been looking to for inspiration had spoken about food allergies. And I thought, well, look, I've had some signs by giving up bread, you know, that made a difference. I'm having my turmeric, you know, how can you just have these good and bad days? There must be something which is setting it off. So I went to see a nutritionalist. She did some bloods. I think this kit come from America, and it got sent back over there. And when I came back, I had my other appointment with her, and she said, I do believe you're right, Karen. I believe that you have a leaky gut. And I had food sensitivities to so many things like oregano, parsley, lots of different fruits. Pineapple was a major one, which I had been having loads of pineapple because they say it's good for inflammation, but obviously it wasn't good for me. Also, what was it? Melon. So remember I said I used to get swelling sometimes when I'd eat melon. Corn was massive. Now I did notice years ago, like, you know, if I'd have like vegetable oil, someone cooked with vegetable oil, I'd get really bad pains in my stomach. And if you look, you know, they use corn, maize in absolutely everything, you know, vegetable oil. I was eating loads of popcorn as well, thinking I was being healthy in some way. So all these things that I was thinking I was doing to help myself actually was irritating my food sensitivity. She also told me to recommended a good probiotic. So I needed over 450 billion bacteria in my stomach. Also a digestive enzyme, and she said, obviously keep up the turmeric. I was having vitamin C a lot more. So I started doing this. This was in the July. Sorry about that. My computer just went down. So this was in the July, and that day I went back for some bloods doing. So my inflammatory markers, they were still high, and they did the scan, and inflammation was still there. So that was July, and I've kept up all the things that I was doing, cut out the foods. I also realised that dairy, not that I always used to have rice milk, but a friend, read that unpasteurised butter and unpasteurised milk is good for a gut, so I started having that. And I realised, actually, I noticed twice that when I used this unpasteurised butter, pain started to ache, and there was pain in my hands again, which caused problems, and they'd start to swell, so I knew I had to cut that out, and then I noticed it go down. So in November I had to go and have a scan again, which they did find some inflammation in there, and I did have some bone distortion in my two little toes, and also the inflammation was in my little she called these my little fingers, which was here, and in my little toes. But when I had my bloods done, my markers, my inflammatory markers, were just under 5. So I think it's below 5 when your body's not attacking itself. So I've went from 15 down to just under 5, and that's with no medication. Now my consultant said to me, it's probably the steroid. It wasn't the steroid. It was not that. When that steroid wore off, I was in so much pain. What I think the steroid really was a mask, because I was still eating bread and pastries and whatever really, and it was when I was off the steroid I thought, well, I have to make massive changes. So I'm really celebrating that I'm in remission, which is all I've wanted. Well, I wanted 2 things this year: a new agent, because I'm an actor, and to be in remission. That's all I've wanted. And I've thought to myself, right, okay, how do I keep myself, in this place and get my inflammatory markers down to 0? My exercise this year wasn't brilliant, because I was normally a morning gym person, and I've not been. I didn't have any energy to go to the gym, and I was in so much pain. So I wasn't going. But I did notice when I'd go in the sauna or the steam room that I'd feel a lot better. So I thought, right, okay, I need to start moving again, and I need the heat. So I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to go back to Bikram yoga, which I started years ago, but I'd have to travel about 40 miles to go to a class. But in the last year, Bikram yoga has opened in Leeds, where I live. So I've started there, and I do notice actually that I've started doing it on an evening, that in the morning I feel a lot looser. Now what I did notice, I went to see a podiatrist and about my feet, because it was my toe joints that were really, really painful, and she gave me some insoles, but the insoles have caused problems with the insides of my ankles. Now, when I used to be a dancer, I always used to suffer from a dropped arch, and I believe, obviously, the insoles have been raising my arches, and it's been putting a lot of pressure on my ankles, and I did start to get inflammation in my right ankle. So my inflammation started in my hands, and then it went to my feet, it went to my knees, my shoulders, which were unbearable, and obviously my wrist and my right ankle. So I just started getting it from all ends. And actually, I used to get this really bad burning in my toes. You couldn't even touch my feet. If this is my foot and you just touched it like this, I'd scream. The pain would be unbelievable. and it seemed like she made like a guard, like it looked like a mouth guard, but it was for your toes, to take the strain off my toe joints, which it didn't help. So I YouTubed for some feet exercises, and I found some exercises, and all I started to do was crunch my toes like this. If you try it, just get your feet. And actually, I felt like the burning was dissolving, and I'd do rotations. So this is your feet, rotations. And then on the morning, I'd just do this with my feet to get them going. Because what I didn't realise was how stiff. I had a really good flexibility. My body is so stiff, it is unbelievable. Like my shoulders, if I do this with my shoulders, they're still really stiff. That one's a bit sore today. But yeah, they're still really, really stiff. My feet have loosened up a lot because it started to get stiff in my ankles. And just doing this with my toes, I felt like maybe it was lactic acid that had built up in there. But you need to, movement is so important, and I didn't realise how important movement was. Now, at one point, I couldn't walk without wearing any shoes. I couldn't walk with my bare feet on the floor. Now I've achieved that. I can do it. I actually walked for over a mile. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. It was nearly 2 miles actually, but then my feet started to burn. So I know I'm not there yet, but I'm on a great road to recovery. I also believe that the body can heal itself. I really do. And I was given Naproxen by my doctor, and during one of the peak times of work for me, which was before July, I must have taken about 3 or 4 of these just to get me through the day, because my feet were so painful and I had to stand on my legs quite a lot of time. But I thought to myself, if I keep taking these tablets, how is my gut going to heal? And then luckily, I just thought, right, well, I'm just going to have to build up on the turmeric, which I did. Turmeric, black pepper. I mixed some coconut oil in there as well. Heated it up, made a paste, and then took it down every day. And even my partner, who has problems with his shoulders, he's a former world champion boxer. His shoulders are not good, obviously, off all, the strain that is put on them. He always goes to me, "Oh, you and your natural food remedies." He decided to take turmeric also. So he's found that it works. So give turmeric a try. So I'm going to go over the list of things that I've taken. So if this will help you, and try. But my number one thing is you must go and have your bloods done to see if you have. You just have to bear with me because we've got somebody at the door. So my number one. Oh, let me introduce you to him. This is Paul Silky Jones, former world champion boxer.
Hello, disaster.
He's just been to do what have we been doing today? Sports punditry. So this is my partner, and the turmeric's been working well for him. So let me just go over the list. What I've done, which I found has helped. So please go and get your bloods done. That's important, because like me, you will try anything, what people recommend, but what's good for one might not be good for you. The pineapple wasn't good for me. The molasses that I tried, I read in a book about molasses being fantastic anti-inflammatory. It wasn't good for me. So have your bloods done, because it will pick up what you need to stay away from, which should help you. A probiotic, which I've been taking. I've been using VSL3. I know it does have a little bit of milk in there, but I have been okay with it. I am going to start, it's over 450 billion, but if you have your bloods done, if you see a nutritionist, I'm sure they'll advise you on what you'll need. I am going to start making my own kefir, I think it's called. Keep having my sauerkraut, fermented foods. I think they've really helped. And also a digestive enzyme. Now, what I also found has helped me has been turmeric, I'm actually taking out the oil now because I did a little test. I started having foods without oil, and I noticed that some mornings I just wasn't like sore. Sometimes I'm not in pain anymore, so thank God for that, because that pain, I'm sure you know, is unbelievable. Joints are becoming like really swollen. But like this wrist here is a little bit sore, and my feet, even though I'm walking okay, I want to be able to walk a little bit more than maybe like a mile and a half or whatever, 2 miles. So I just need that to go. Or stiffness. I wake up in the morning. I can do that now, but it's still on the morning. I'm like this, So to get that stiffness away, because I'm sure there's probably still a little bit more inflammation there, but at least my body's not attacking itself, so we can work from there. Also, MSM powder. If you get one, you need to get a real pure powder. I think it's been costing me £33. And actually, I did notice when taking this also, I judged everything by these two fingers because these were the worst, where my knuckles were. And I really noticed that my hands were becoming like really wrinkly and that the inflammation was going down. That might not be, for you, but it's good to give it a try. And what I'm doing now, I still was eating fish, but I am trying more of a plant-based diet, which I was doing before I went to see my nutritionist, but she's not really into veganism or plant-based diet. She just thinks you need to have, some protein from animals, which I'm not really too fussed about. And to get as much water down you as well, and juice, like green juices. Really big into kale and spinach, but just to have as much veg as you can. So I hope that's a great start for you if you're on this journey. And I know it's absolutely awful, but you have to, go with your gut. And it was really nice the other day. I went to the doctor because I wanted to go and see the podiatrist again, and he asked me, what I have been doing. He's the only person at rheumatology that didn't ask me, what I've been doing. They just said, if you're on medication, we can change your medication. I'll take you off medication for now. You're in remission. Just said I'm not on medication. Nobody asked, it's just like they're not interested, but fair enough. But I was really good. The doctor the other day, he asked me what I'd been doing. I said I'd been taking turmeric. I told him about probiotics, and I said to him, Doctor, there must be something in it. And he said, well, my gran, she had apple cider vinegar every day, turmeric every day, and black seed oil every day. She died at 97. She had hair down to her bottom, which was still jet black, and she was never ill. So he said, maybe you're right, maybe there's something in it. So it was just nice to have a little bit of validation, because it is such a lonely, lonely journey. And I shall keep you up to date with my journey. And if you are, starting off with inflammatory arthritis, don't worry about it. One thing also, when they kept saying to me, this, your arthritis, I'd say, it's not my arthritis, it's just having a holiday in my body, that's all. And like every single holiday, it has to come to an end. I'm not in denial, but I'm not taking ownership of that. So, it can do what it likes, but it's not taking over my body. And even through my hardest times, the most painful times, I kept reminding myself, because I do always believe that a healthy body is a healthy mind. Just remember that this too shall pass. That pain will not be there forever. If you're a meditator, if you fancy meditating, give it a try, because it will give you something to focus on. Because I have to admit, this whole year for me has just been taken up by, how can I heal myself? How can I get into remission? It's really taken over my world in a way. And I don't really want I hope that doesn't happen for you, and I hope through my experiences it can help you. And I do think I wish I would have had my bloods a lot sooner, my blood test done a lot sooner, so it would help me on that progression to heal. And it has been the most expensive journey. We do have the NHS here in England, but the NHS doesn't cure if you want to go for, doesn't pay for if you want to go for alternative treatments or whatever you want to do. So, you know, that's why I'm hoping I can help you by not, because I've spent so much money on trying loads of different things. So I hope I can cut down that cost for you. So maybe the best way to start is to go and get your bloods done. You know, get moving. I'm going to go now because I'm going to get ready to go to Bikram yoga to get some movement and some warmth into my body. All right, then I hope this helps. If you want to go to my website, I am a professional speaker and I do have blogs on there. There's always something positive. So if you're on a day where a day feels really heavy for you, go over there to my website, which is karenasemper.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at karenasemper, and also on my Facebook, which is karenasemper. Okay then, I hope you have a fantastic journey on your healing yourself of inflammatory arthritis. Bye.